down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Yes, party people, we are back in the studio, and man, I was going to come up with a name for you, Zach.
Zach sounds good.
Like Mobile King, Mobile Home.
It's only was my first
bag.
one. Just stay with Zach.
Oh, just stay with Zach. All right, so let's just, we left everybody on the cliffhanger last time. We didn't talk about any of the finances. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, welcome to the Savvy Radio Show. I have, Zach Lorenzen, Norman, Oklahoma, Noble, Oklahoma, a real estate investor for a very long time, is here today to open his playbook of life of how he acquired this asset and what is it all about. And it's not all roses, but it's going to be extremely fun. But hang on, this is only our second episode on this series of mobile home acquisition. If you missed the first episode, a little bit more detail, that's in episode number 756. But hang on, because we're going to be talking about negotiations the next episode. We're going to be closing drama, construction drama, code enforcement, and of course the ultimate, how do you finance a non-performing asset called a mobile home park in the ghetto? So, Zach, tell me a little bit about kind of a quick overview of what are we talking about? What is this thing?
It's a 28 lot mobile home park in Noble, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. We purchased it end of August. It took us 3.5 years of reaching out and trying to get it purchased. Got the lead from another investor who's also a good friend and kind of helped me out. We are currently in the process of fixing it up, abandoned trailers, all the above, which we'll probably get down on the construction drama there. And
then the money, how much was it listed for? And we'll get into detail on that in a minute. It was
off market. The people that own land around it, I think their offer was $250. I came in at $250. Long story short, negotiating stuff, we ended up leaving at $275 is what the final.
So you acquired, and then what did the appraisal come in at?
Almost $800.
$800,000 that you acquired for $275. Was it cash flowing when you purchased this property?
Not at all. There was.
Is there any live bodies there?
There was a lot of people there that weren't supposed to.
What do you mean? Like a homeless camp?
Yes, they're stripping the trailers actively. One actually caught fire.
Like striptease? Wait a minute. Hold on.
No.
Stripping the trailer. Yeah, okay. A lot of us never know this terminology, like strippers. I mean, stripping. Okay.
Anything metal that can be cashed in, they took.
Wow. Why you acquired this asset or previously?
Previously, and then while I was trying during negotiations, I mean, one of them caught fire. The best one, obviously.
Ooh. That sucks. Yeah. My bad. All right. So far, how long, when did you acquire it? You closed on this one?
End of August 22nd, 21st.
And now we're in 2025. So how many months is that? So you got September, October, November, December, January, February. 6-7 months.
6-7 months, yeah.
And you're still hanging on?
Yeah. It took me till December to figure out tax liens, back taxes, all that.
And we're going to get into
court-appointed titles, abandoned trailers, kicking out crackheads, fixing the water leaks, all kinds of stuff. But we finally, to actually be able to work on the trailers through the legal standpoint, because everybody's eyes, the county, the sheriff, the city, everybody's eyes was on this property. There was no cutting corners, so you had to do it by the book, and it took.
Was that intimidating? Because tell me about how did you feel that this was was the city? How was the vibe from the city? And did you go to the city, county assessor, or how do you know that?
I didn't. I just went in and I went to the county assessor and just started asking questions, and then they didn't know all the answers, so we went to the clerk's office, and then they didn't know all the answers, and then long story short, we ended up going to the sheriff's office, calling the green sticker on there and figuring out tax warrants aren't the same as back taxes, so it's more, and it was a huge.
Well, I'm talking about the vibe, like the reputation of the property. Okay, how'd you figure that out?
So it was pretty easy figuring it out. You walk in or you drive in, and I mean, doors are open on trailers, crap's laying everywhere, AC units are torn apart, so you knew it was dilapidated. You knew the city hated it.
Distress, my favorite word.
There were green stickers, which are tax warrants, which I know now. on
tax warrants. Like you're going to go to jail, bang, bang.
Like they seize the trailer in place. You can't work on it. You can't throw it away. You can't sell it. You can't do anything in Cleveland County until those tax warrants are paid in full and that trailer is in your name. That's a Cleveland County thing.
So, okay. So now we have a kind of an understanding where dilapidated, distressed property. This is kind of your first commercial deal, right?
Yeah, this is my first. Yes.
First commercial deal. So it's a little, and it's an $800,000 asset that you've only acquired. You negotiated down to $250,000. And so before we get into the $275,000. Oh, sorry, clarification. But it's really not $275,000, right? Because you keep mentioning these things called
tax warrants
and liens.
Quarter-appointed titles.
And quarter-appointed title. Okay. So when are we going to talk about that? But we'll get into that in a minute. But what's one thing that you've learned thus far before we get into the negotiations? Because we're going to dial back into the realtor and the numbers and all that other jazz.
That's a really good question. I've learned so many things with this project. It's kind of crazy.
Keep in mind that every time we do this episode, you're going to have to come up with a new answer.
Yes.
So what's the first thing? Like, what did you learn so far? To carry a gun on location, or be friendly to the neighborhood dog. What's the first thing? Like, you got on the property, you're overwhelmed. Were you threatened? Were you scared? Tell me, because we really need to tell people, it's this glamorous. It's $850. I acquired it for $275. I got $300,000 in fix up, and I'm cash flowing $8,000 a month, and life is just grand. But there's got to be some emotion tied to this process. Tell me, you got to be authentic here.
It was there was fear. Don't get me wrong. It's a new project, something I've never done. It's bigger than anything I've done single family, but it's just the fear of not doing it correctly or missing something, I guess.
Right. So you had a monkey on your back, like, hey, I've never done this before. There's not too many mentors that know mobile homes.
Not only that, I had, like I said, the sheriff, the county assessor, the city, everybody on there making sure you're doing everything correctly, even though the last person didn't do one thing correctly. So I learned that each individual entity, or whatever you want to call that, wants everything done exactly their way, and they want it done yesterday.
You told them the principality.
Yes, municipalities, not just the city, but county and all that. They want everything done the exact way, and they want it done yesterday.
Did you feel supportive?
At first going in, I felt a lot of support, but as soon as I checked things off their lists, I'm not saying all of them, but a couple things just kind of ghosted me. You have any questions? Thank you for paying this and getting this all caught up. You have any questions, reach out. You reach out, they don't answer the phone. They're never in the office. You can't get a hold of them, just disappear.
So you feel like you kind of bamboozled a little bit that, hey, you owe $30,000 in taxes.
They thought some rich guy was coming in to solve everything and just write checks and throw money everywhere. They didn't realize that, us as investors, we go in and we leverage our whole life savings, our other properties and assets to level up and fix these problems.
Right.
They think you're just some rich dude with a checkbook that's never ending, and it's obviously not that. Anybody in here who's done real estate knows it is definitely not that. So
what you're telling me, that what you've learned thus far, is that you're learning a skill to navigate just people in general, and the working parts between the drama, being a liaison
you need to know
from the ghetto people to the city who's frustrated that this is an eyesore in their community.
Yes. You need to know how much to give without giving too much, because they will take, and try to take more. And you got to know, you got to figure out where that sweet spot is. Like, you know what? I've given more than enough. You need to give me some grace, or you need to come in here and see what's really going on and understand the project.
It's a really good point. Where do you set your threshold? Like, was there a pain, a pain number? Was it a dollar number? I mean, you're a really smart guy. You probably had a budget and all this other jazz. You don't just come in and start throwing money at this. Like, when did you have to put your foot down, or you were tired of just being taken advantage of? Like, give us a threshold. Like, when was that defining moment where, like, F this, no more?
When, I don't want to put anybody on blast, but when that certain, because I'm still working with them, trying to.
Okay.
When that one person or place would just promise me, we will do anything. We're so happy you and your wife are in here taking this. Oh, bring the baby when it comes. Real personable. We love you guys. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. If you need anything at all, just give me a call. I'll be there for you. And then you make that phone call, and it's crickets.
It's interesting when you're saying the phone call. I remember when you acquired this, you got a lot of phone calls from not only from tenants that didn't pay,
Yep.
tenants that may have paid or may not have paid, and then also the friendly code enforcement, city
Yes.
officials.
Yes.
Like, I don't think we could even get through lunch without about 30 phone calls.
I think, code enforcement, when purchasing it and the negotiations and all that, code enforcement came across as they tried to kill the deal, if that makes sense for me. They came across as, you're going to have to do this and you do this, and the EPA and the DEQ and all this and that and this and that. And then when I purchased a property, the tone kind of changed, like, hey, do what you can, whatever you need from me, let me know, I'll help you. I'll just kind of
Interesting.
wait till this is done.
Did you think that they were just insecure, or they're trying to?
I think they
don't know, or
I think they didn't know, and they just wanted to make sure that the
committed?
next person that came in was actually going to do something and not just be a slumlord like the last guy was.
Interesting. So maybe they're
And I
just
think
testing you. You know, I read a lot of
there
books about testing. Like, they're just testing your commitment, I guess.
And there was a double wide trailer that was there for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years. The dude never put together. It split in half, leaking, ceilings.
I saw it.
Yeah, ceilings were all caving in. It was a liability issue big time. The city was going to go in there and get rid of it before we closed it. Talked to the manager at Code Enforcement, said, hey, let me take care of this for you when I get it closed here in a month or so.
You said that to them?
Yeah.
You
I said it'll be cheaper for me and it'll be cheaper for you,
'cause they're
and
gonna
no
charge
headache for you, because they're going to charge what it is plus their abatement process and all that. So at that point there, the city manager's out there with the Code Enforcement looking at it, and I just happened to pull up when they were doing it. Just good timing, I guess. And I think that right there, they solidified, like, okay, maybe this guy is going to do what he says, and he does want this nice. And then after I bought it, a week later, that's the first thing that went. And I mean, they showed up with cameras and coffee, and they're watching this thing get tore down. Like, it was a joyous day for everybody in the trailer park and the whole city hall type thing. And I think at that point, when the Code Enforcement and the city there kind of backed off and was like, okay, this guy's going to actually do what he said he was going to do.
You know, you say nice. We're going to make this nice, right? And in your mind, that's some sort of a specific expectation. In the city's mind,
What's nice?
what's nice?
Yeah.
So how have you figured that out? Are you working on that scenario? Like, what's determines nice? Is it
Making
like
nice?
like all new trailers?
The
you
grass,
know, 5-foot brick fence.
the grass was almost 3 feet tall when I bought it.
So
I mean,
nice is just cut the grass.
Well, they thought, okay, he's going to make it nice and cut the grass and weed eat it. Well, we went in there and picked up all the junk. I had a dumpster in there right away. We trawled out 3 dumpsters of junk, and then secured the trailers, evicted the homeless. That's another story with the local. Never mind.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's somewhere. That's called the close somewhere in there.
Yeah,
It's in there. Okay, great. So now you've given us a perspective of what you've learned, and then
and the water bill was a big thing.
yeah, that was okay. So now we're on. This is our second episode, but now we're on a theme for this episode, Mr. Lorenzen. First of all, what is the name of your mobile home park?
It is now Rose Rock Village.
Oh, it is now Rose Rock Village.
It was Linwood Estates, but the stigma with that name was
Sounds like a drive-by.
it looked like one. There's actually holes in a couple trailers. So.
Bang, bang. Okay, so now we're going to do another 10 or 15 minutes just on the level of negotiations. And with our outline, you have this realtor, and I put on there, shady.
Yeah.
You have the buyer that kept changing to sell or not to sell, and then influences from another buyer. So how did you approach? So let's dial back, ladies and gentlemen, and then I'm going to set the stage, and then I'm going to be quiet. You worked on this for 3.5 years. Would you consider that a level of negotiations when you worked on it, or it was just to get it to the point where you're able to acquire it, or at least be your name in the hat?
That latter, just to be able to get an offer into somebody who can make the decision.
Right. Let me add some things here,
Because I have not put an offer out to the state.
Okay, so 3.5 years just to get to the table. Mm-hmm. Okay, and a lot of people try to get to commercial, and they think it's like this this apartment building that we just visited, and it's a 90-day acquisition, typically on a large asset. So it's not typical for 3.5 years. It's 3.5 years for you to get to this point. Now we're at this level of negotiations. Walk us through the process here. How did you handle this? How did you approach this?
So once I found out they were selling it, the sister I was keeping in touch with, she hit me up hey, Henry's selling. I told you, gave you my word, you can get an offer in. You want to buy it? Okay. Then the guy that owns it's ex-sister-in-law from 10 or 15 years ago is a realtor. So they want her involved to make sure everything is done correctly.
So your face just changed when you said that. It's like, a relative who is a realtor but is getting paid.
Exactly.
Is that a conflict of interest? I don't know. Mm-hmm. So before we get going, you were doing good here.
Not only that, she's representing both sides.
You.
Me.
Which is, yeah. Okay, why was the sister nice? I think a lot of people don't realize that the skill and the time invested, how did the sister become nice? You said nice, and I think there's more deep depth in there.
She was real apprehensive at first, and then I think she realized we were just genuine people trying to buy it. You know.
Do you think that's your secret sauce?
Also, well, I don't know. My secret sauce isn't just me. I don't know.
This is
just me. Sure.
Just me. Okay, because I think it's critical because you worked on it for 3.5 years. And she remembered you and called you and said, it is for sale now. Yeah. I didn't want to forget about you. Was it love letters? Did you wink at her? Did you
I've never met the lady. I've never
met her?
No, it's all through email or phone. She lives in California, the Bay Area. But I would reach out like, I don't know, it's a Tuesday in the middle of March. Like, hey,
by the way,
seeing how you guys are going, let you know I'm still interested if it ever comes up for sale. And that would be one conversation. And a couple months later, be like, hey, just driving by Henry's place. I mean, if you need someone to come check in on him, make sure, he's doing good and let me know. She'd reply back, nope, nurses are there. He's all good. Thanks for checking. And just checking in every couple months just to.
Did you ever think you would ever get the deal?
No, I gave up on it, being completely honest with you.
I mean, think about this logically. I mean, you desensitize this. It's 3.5 years of follow-up, 3.5 years of a random email, 3.5 years of, I'm not going to get this deal. I mean, it's kind of surreal that later now you own this.
I always had the thought like I'm going to own this in the back of my head, but as you know, 2024 is pretty eventful for us. So it kind of, after a few things happened, it was like I just kind of, I guess, forgot about it.
No, it's awesome, man. All right, so now what? So this stepsister or ex-sister-in-law, she jumps in on the game.
Yeah.
And then how do you handle that?
Good question. So she is an expert realtor from 1995, so knows everything about everything, and you can't tell her anything. So I kind of played that card, I guess. You're the expert, so I kind of
faded in the back?
Kind of faded in the back, but then again, whenever she came up with something that was completely wrong or was not in our favor, I guess, I would kind of slide it in like she found it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the Dale Carnegie method, coaching people without coaching them, letting them lead. It's their idea. It's their concept.
Yeah. But because of her, we almost lost the deal. I ended up having to pay her a commission. And she'd asked, what's good? And I was like, well, what's he paying you? I'll match what he's paying you.
It wasn't a percentage.
No, it was. I'll match what he's paying. She's like 3%. Cool, I'll match it. It's still a deal. It's $8,000 or $9,000, still a deal. So I match it. Come to think, at closing, he paid her 1%.
Wow.
She just.
So that's why I put the word shady on here.
Yeah, and not only that, was hiding stuff, taxes, documents.
So let's get into that right now.
All kinds of stuff.
So you're negotiating, and you're going through this realtor who is not really keen on commercial or professionalism.
I don't think she's done a deal in a while, to be honest with you, because I mean.
Okay. But there was a lot of, it's awesome that I have been a part of your successful journey here. But I remember that she would be sending random documents for you to sign.
Yes.
She
tried to sign 5 or 6 amendments all the time with price changes and trailer burnt and, don't worry about that one. And, the trailers that are in the park's name, we have all the titles for when they didn't have titles for them. And that showed up at closing. It was just a bunch of
back and forth.
You're going to close on the 19th of this. It's like, man, we signed a contract 4 days ago. I can't physically close. We still have to do due diligence.
And she probably may not have heard the word due diligence. And what is that required by you as an investor in a commercial space? Because due diligence for me on a single family is night and day on a commercial acquisition.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then on the other side of that, the other offer was an all cash offer, quit claim deed.
The one that you were competing against?
Yeah.
And they offered $250.
Yeah.
So what made you, but then you had to calculate all the back taxes and the drama, and I'm assuming they had like fees for cutting the grass.
Yeah, yeah.
What are code enforcement fees?
He ended up paying that. The seller did. I had to pay the water bill, which was about $6,000 a month.
$6,000 on 28 units doesn't even make sense. Like, were they all swimming?
Like 12 people living there. There were just leaks. Trailers would bust and pouring on the ground. We had one where roots broke a line. Long story short, I think a couple months ago it was finally down to about $800.
So you got that's a ROI. Did you? I mean, I guess I'm assuming when there's no way you can cash flow on a $6,000 water bill. So you knew that there was a conflict. So
big time.
Yeah.
I talked to another investor that has some apartments in the area, and he's like, "Yeah, no, that should be like $1,200-$1,500." He's like, "You got a problem there, fix it," and that's just straight money on the table there. Gotcha.
Right. So that was your number one priority because that was your alligator. Just
one of them. Yes.
One of them. Okay. So you find out, you call the city, you find out about this water bill. What other things were discovered during your due diligence that made you go,
I discovered the 6 of the however many 12, 14 people living there were paying their rent to the city to keep the water on.
So it was kind of in a receivership, but it wasn't foreclosed on.
No, it was just small town.
So the guy didn't pay the bill?
City Hall knew a couple of older people that have been there for 30 years, and they just wanted to make sure they still had water, so they left the water on if they paid them to.
Okay. Interesting. What other? So the derelicts, right? The people that were abusing the situation.
Yes.
Give us a scope of one of those tenants.
Well, lot 1, they lived there for 11 years without paying rent.
How's that possible?
There was 2 adults, 5 kids, and 7 dogs in a 2-bedroom trailer, and then junk just piled all over it and all over the next trailer, and screwed to it and all kinds of stuff. So that was a big problem. We had homeless they had the goose lady, some homeless lady that would carry a goose around and steal all the metal out of the trailers, but cops wouldn't kick her out because she said she lived there even though there was no paperwork, and I had to give them paperwork that says she didn't live there even though there was no paperwork. It was just little stuff like that. But
wow.
Yeah, we ended up getting lot 1 evicted. They actually moved the trailer out of there in time and everything, but that was a big old drama.
How many of those dramas did you have?
4, 5, just evictions. Yeah. Okay.
So let's dial back on the negotiations. So someone's offering $250 cash, close tomorrow. You're offered. You put an offer in at $275. So to get in the running, you got it under contract, and then you're negotiating. Now you're getting all this drama that wasn't articulated in the contract. Yes. So you're uncovering all this information.
Yes.
And how was the buyer, I mean, the seller dealing with you on those concerns? Like these trailers are not in their name, or the taxes are so crazy, and the water bill's $6,000.
That's your problem.
Okay. So then how did you make the decision to continue on?
It was a good enough deal at that price.
So you were keeping your eye on the 800.
Yeah. I looked at market rents in the area are $500 a lot to $550. There's 2 or 3 lots open in the whole Noble area there that I found. It's just a demand for them to put it. Plus, it's a very good location, right across City Hall, right across from the fire department, right in the middle of town. I mean, at that price, it was just
Now, was there any time where you wanted to give up or you thought the deal was going to be busted?
Yes, there's quite a few times during the negotiations I thought the deal was going to be busted.
Give me an example.
One was the realtor really was the one, to be honest with you. Just
lying
I would say
to
something. You? She would go talk to the seller and call me back 30 seconds later. I'd talk to him and this. Clearly never talked to him. We show up at the closing table. We're supposed to have titles for trailers. Nothing there. Things are signed and notarized from different, like 3 years before, and she's like, I just got these notarized. It was just a bunch of red flags everywhere.
So she was trying to cover a lot of things up and then bamboozle you, basically.
Yes, she showed up at closing with a literal, like a grocery bag, like you take home, not like a Walmart sack, but like a reusable one, and like dump paperwork on the table. And me and the closing person looked at each other like, what is going on here?
So
and then we had to reschedule closing again.
Yeah, so you were actually at closing.
Yes.
But you didn't close.
No.
How many times did that happen?
That was twice. And it was all on the realtor because she had nothing prepared. She
And
literally
would she get angry? Would she get mad? I mean, what was her tonality when you're like, she's thinking she's going to get paid that day?
Yeah, her tone was, if you don't do this, then he's going to cancel the contract. And he couldn't cancel the contract. We were already in it too deep and time frames and all that. He couldn't cancel it. I mean, if we didn't.
But that's got to be an emotional roller coaster somewhere.
It was, because this is 2 weeks before we had our baby. This is a couple months after I had a back surgery. I mean, it was a lot going on, and it was very, very stressful. And then also with the financing and everything else going on.
Yeah, well, the financing was a whole other nightmare on Elm Street, but we'll get to that later. So we mentioned earlier, we said in passing, you said that the seller kept changing the price back and forth. They kept changing sell or not sell, the price. Can you give me some light in that area?
When I say they sell the price, so they had a trailer out there that was the best one. It was like a late 2000, I'd say 2008, 2009.
Okay.
3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's got the pitched roof, siding, everybody wants on it. Central heat and air, beautiful trailer. Lot 1's son went down there and started on fire in the middle of negotiations. So when I figured out
and what was
this
the
happens,
value of that? What was it?
I mean, to go buy that trailer in that shape all day long is probably 35 to 40.
Yeah, okay. So there's a $30,000
loss right there. I thought
asset.
I was going to come in, clean it out, and
get revenue
and rent it.
Okay.
I don't know if the dude ever really gave a price, but the realtor was like, he'll give you $2,000 for it. It's like, that won't even cost to get this thing.
You're talking about you asking for a concession.
Yes, a concession.
So the thing burns down during your negotiations or before your closing, where you're doing your due diligence. It burns down because one of the fun neighbors decided to have a good time.
Yes. So,
and then it's burnt down. You assess the situation. Can you make an insurance claim?
No, he doesn't have insurance.
He didn't have insurance.
So to go back, when this thing burnt down, I've asking for concessions. They basically told me to go pound sand. You don't want it, don't buy it. I said, well, that's not how it works. And then, long story short, I ended up getting closing pushed another week, which helped. And then
right, because at this time, financing was.
I had it going, but
then you didn't have it going.
And
then you had a roller coaster.
And then I had it, and then
this is why we're leading up to this, ladies and gentlemen.
I had it the whole time. It was just a lack of communication.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. Yeah.
Let's say it nicely.
So you have the stressor of the funding being like a tornado, in and out, up and down, maybe not. Appraisals up and down, over left, right side. Thing burns down, and then.
Mind you, the whole time, the city and the code enforcement are calling me every time one little thing happens in a place. Like, I own it. It's like, people, I don't own this property. I cannot legally do anything until this thing is closed. Like, quit
so you gave them their phone number, and you were the go-to guy.
I was, because I was the only one that would answer the phone call. Realtor wouldn't answer. The dude wouldn't answer. So like, oh, this guy's buying it. Maybe he'll fix things. It's like
so what was, give us an example of what one of those phone calls were.
Well, the trailer burnt down. What are you going to do about this? Now it's a dilapidated structure and it's a liability for the city. It's not my property. I cannot legally do anything to this trailer. I don't own anything in this park. I'm trying to purchase it. So
interesting.
That was going on during the negotiations.
All right. So that was the power of negotiation. So we finally will end right here, unless you have anything fabulous to say.
No, I don't know.
No, you don't have anything to say. Okay.
There's so many details.
So that was the level of negotiation. So it wasn't easy. It was back and forth. And every time you communicated, you didn't know if that information correctly got through the realtor who was representing you, taking 6%, you thought, back and forth, and then come to find out it wasn't.
Yeah, because every time we asked for a rent roll or some kind of paperwork showing that what's actually going on in the park, they would give us something, but it was different. Something was written in, something was blacked out, or it was from a property manager from 4 years ago, and then there's one from 2 years ago, and you're like, hey, this one looks amazing back when it was rented 12 years ago, but it's not what's happening today. So,
all right, let's give these people some perspective. When you were pursuing this, how many actual people were in the park?
So 6 people owned their trailers, were in the park, paying their lot rent of $325 to the city to keep the water running.
Okay. And today,
in the meantime, they were trying to keep the crackheads from stealing their stuff out of their trailers.
Oh, it was like a war zone.
It was.
It was like a battle.
Yes. There were some of the homeless left on their own when we just yelled at them, and some dug their heels in. We had to go through the whole eviction.
And this all happened after you closed. This wasn't even during.
Yeah, this is all after.
This is because they didn't know who the new owner was, and the city didn't know who the new owner was or anyone because they kept calling you to fix things that weren't your property at that time.
Yeah,
interesting. That had been nerve-wracking as well. You're working with financing. You're trying to work with the city code and all the back taxes and all the drama, and then you got crackhead tenants screaming and fighting and theft.
Yeah. And the ones that are squatting are the oones, well, my dishwasher is broke. You're like, I don't own the property, for one. For two, you're squatting in this property. So it's
interesting.
Just drama when it comes to distressed properties.
So through these negotiations, is there anything, a tip that you would tell someone that you've learned just on negotiations? We're going to get into closing on the next episode, but tell us what would you have done differently?
The first time I had a red flag from that realtor, I would have went straight to the broker if I ever do it again.
Ooh, that's powerful. Yeah, right. Because you're insecure because you want the deal. You know, there's an $800,000 carrot, and you're in it for $275,000. Did you figure out how much money it would take to get this stabilized?
About $100,000.
You think that's enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So in your mind, let's give it $125,000. So you're in it for $400,000, 50% LTV.
I'll be in it for $450,000.
Okay.
I won't use all of it, but yes.
But that could be your just reserves.
Yes.
So you're fighting for this carrot, and you have a sketchy. I mean, why would you trump that person and go to the broker? Who knows how active this person was?
I think we skipped the numbers on it. So we're in it for $450,000, all in. Market rents $550, depending on where you go. So we're going to bump it up to $500,000 at 28 lots.
Yeah, let's cash flow. We're going to get to the financing and all the money at the end. Yeah. So, All right, Zach. Well, I appreciate your authenticity, that it's not an easy acquisition, and you're in the middle of it right now, which is kind of cool to see it transpire. The double wide that's split in half, that it looks like the Grand Canyon, has been completely removed. We'll get into that. So the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is closing drama. All the drama that was with closing. We give you a little tip there. I mean, a little teaser. We got construction, code enforcement. Oh man, and then our favorite, financing. All right, and then the real deal at the end: evictions, bad tenants, drugs, lawyers, homeless, water bill. And we'll wrap up with that. Anyway, my name is Stephen VanCauwenbergh, and this is Zach Lorenzen, the mobile home rookie. Connoisseur. Anyway, so if you want to know more about that, make sure you go back and listen to number 756. That's episode 756. Go to thesavvypodcast.com.
Thanks for listening to The Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook, and always be buying assets.